As children break up from school this week and for some next, have you bought teacher a present? Do you think it's the right or wrong thing to do? How much should we spend? Do you chip in with other parents? Has the end of year gift for the teacher, and maybe the teaching assistants too, got out of hand? 03459811111. If you're a teacher, tell me about some of the weird and wonderful presents you've received over the years. Now, I know it's not the burning issue of the decade, but it is talked about in school playgrounds at the moment. Should you buy your child's teacher a gift? Should you go it alone? How much money should you spend? Should you chip in with other parents? What did you decide to do this year? It's 12 minutes after 11, and this is BBC Radio Kent. So the end of the school year, and it's time to buy a present? More than one? Chip in on one? What's the right thing to do at your child's school? And does this only happen in primaries? What do people in secondary schools buy presents for teachers too? A survey has found over half of people buy a present, 26% chip into a group class collection, and 1 in 10 parents are spending quite a lot of money, a massive £25 or more. So is it getting competitive? What do teachers really appreciate? Tell you what, let's ask one. Dr Stephen Curran is a teacher of 30 years experience and an education author. Stephen, it's really nice to have you with us. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Do you remember gifts over the years, some of the more weird and wonderful ones?
Yes, I've had a number of gifts from children. Some of the most precious ones are little messages where, children say the best teacher in the world, or, you changed my life, or something like that. That has often been, I've had some bizarre ones as well, like clothing.
Really?
Yes, jumpers and various things. And, it's odd. Maybe they didn't think I was dressed very well. I don't know.
I was just about to say, was this some sort of question mark over your dress code at school or out of school?
Yeah.
Okay, that is curious, because it's quite a personal thing to buy somebody clothing. It's interesting.
Yeah, so I've had bottles of wine, or sometimes, obviously, these things coming from parents, so they're often individual gifts, but if it's a class gift, then often it's something the class has thought about, and they want to. I think the point about this is that primary school children often make a very special relationship with their teacher, because obviously the teaching them the whole year, and it's very different in secondary school where you perhaps see children once or twice a week, so it is a different relationship. So
have you taught in both?
Yes, I have taught in both context, briefly in primary school context, but not extensively. I was teaching mainly in secondary, but I have taught primary as well.
Yeah. And why do you suppose there is that connection? Is it because a child is in primary school generally taught by one teacher all day, every day? Is that why that relationship is different?
And also the children are younger. There is a real sense in which the teacher is, as they say in Latin, in loco parentis, taking the place of the parents. I think it'll make a special bond, usually make a special bond with that teacher.
Do you think, therefore, it's always appropriate to give a present, or is it more appropriate for the child to be encouraged to write a card and say something that they, hopefully, something positive? I know not every child loves every teacher.
I don't think we should try and regulate these things. To me, it's a human response, and I think the attempt to kind of control things in a way takes the power of it away. I would hate the idea that I was told what Christmas gift I should give to somebody. I think in the end we have to leave it to the common sense of the children. I always find the children have a great deal of common sense, actually, and also parents who want to give gifts. I just think it's lovely for people to have the free volition to respond.
Do you think that it puts some people in an awkward position? When you're talking about these sort of £25, and if you were a family that was struggling, I guess I guess you write a card or you make something in that situation, don't you, if you still want to do something?
I don't think we should tell people to do anything at all. I don't think there should be any recommendations, because if people don't have anything to give, then the smallest thing that they do, a card, I've often just had cards, and I'm very appreciative of that.
Yeah.
It makes no difference to a teacher. I don't think any teacher of good standing and being sensible about it, would not expect anything. I mean, I never expect things. If things happen, you just show your appreciation.
Yeah, yeah. A question about money in schools that is a much more serious political question, but I'm curious, while we're talking about it, there was a big rally in London yesterday about funding, and I wonder whether this is the big issue. This is the issue of parents not just buying presents, but parents being asked to contribute to financially running the school. What does that tell us about education in this country?
Well, I mean, personally, I don't think parents should ever be asked to help. I mean, there are PTAs and parent-teacher associations that obviously raise money for schools and for extra things. I think that is a very different thing from parents actually being tapped for money, sending letters out and asking for a particular fund. I'm not really in favour of that. I think it should come from central government. I mean, there are...
But if it isn't, and I guess that's the point, is that we're hearing head teachers now saying, we can't do everything we used to do, could you help?
Yeah.
What do you think that they should just put up and shut up with the budgets they've got? Can you understand, or do you thoroughly disapprove?
I can understand that. It's extremely difficult, and I am sympathetic. I think we are running, after 7 years of austerity, this is extremely difficult, and there are also sort of funding formulas which are being looked at, and obviously there's many arguments about whether some schools get more than others, and pupil premium. I mean, there are many, many discussions about this. I mean, effectively, I think the biggest issue, of course, is, are we willing to find more tax to pay for better public services? And of course, this is a perennial issue that continues to rumble on. And I mean, education can always use more money. I mean, there's never. It's a little bit like health and all services. You can always use more money. Exactly how you cut up the pie is extremely difficult. And of course, when the country faces big deficit as well, there are issues over how you spend money and whether you should have cuts and all these kind of things. And it is extremely hard in the times that we are in at the moment, I think. But it is extremely difficult. I'm not trying to minimise the problem. I think none of us fully know what the answer is, except in the end, if you're going to give more money to one thing, you have to take it from somewhere else.
Dr Stephen Curran, thank you for taking the political question as well as the personal. Really nice to talk to you this morning. Stephen Curran, a teacher of 30 years, now a tutor and an author who writes about education. You're with BBC Radio Kent, 11:20.